Okay, there is a new science report out of Japan that the corona heating mystery has been solved due to a newly discovered interaction between the neutrino and photon. And I was immediately reminded of Olivier Costa de Beauregard's explanation of biological transmutations as alchemy due to the same electroweak effect between the neutrino and photon. And so this, in terms of the solving the corona heating mystery, the mystery being why the corona is hotter than the surface of the moon and or sun. Sorry, the sun. I'm feeling the effects of possibly the moon or something right now. But anyway, um, I think it's the chocolate I ate. Okay, so they're talking about, there's this anomalous energy being created, extra heat, and it is due to essentially a time invariance, an inherent asymmetry of time on a large scale from the plasma of the sun. But if you read the citations that this researcher cites, a professor in Japan, and he's been studying this effect for decades, and his earlier paper cites a 2013 paper on graphene, and essentially it's an electroweak quantum Hall effect in graphene. So, in other words, what is normally considered a high energy phenomenon can be recreated in graphene due to the negative metamaterial, creating essentially a time invariance. The symmetry breaking is due to an inherent time invariance from a 1/2 spin of the electron interacting with the neutrino and photons. And so this is precisely what Costa de Beauregard was relying on to explain the nuclear transmutations in the body biologically that explain what Louis Kervan documented to be what he called biological transmutations in animals. For example, the conversion of sodium to potassium, for example, with the increase of oxygen. And so I had told Jack Sarfati that Costa de Beauregard was hung up on invariance, but I had forgotten about his Costa de Beauregard's explanation of alchemy as biological transmutations. And so this is a exception to Costa de Beauregard's other research on quantum paranormal parapsychology and paranormal explanations of reality. So in terms of the in vivo biological effects, he's relying on an inherent asymmetry. And I emailed the professor in Japan, and I gave him the citations from Costa de Beauregard, commenting on Louis Kervan's biological transmutations. And it's kind of ironic because Gurdjieff called this the cold sun alchemy secret, the secret of the cold sun, essentially. So it gets back to what Roger Penrose is stating, citing Erwin Schrödinger, that the true power of the sun is not from the nuclear fusion, but from the gravitational potential as dark energy from quantum negentropy, and the negative entropy or negentropy is due to this inherent time asymmetry, a violation of time variance. So it's or time invariance. So it's a asymmetric time shift as a dynamic that then enables this quantum electroweak quantum Hall effect. And so what would normally be considered to be high energy physics actually can exist whenever you have this negative refractive index, which occurs when you realize that the quantum Hall effect is actually non-commutative. And so I looked that up because first I emailed the professor in Japan, and his research is his early research. He's citing this time asymmetry and the Wick rotation, and so I know that's referring to non-commutativity, and he's talking about the quantum Hall effect, the quantum electroweak Hall effect. And so then I found a paper stating that this is non-commutative, and so in other words, Costa de Beauregard had discovered this same non-commutative secret, but he hadn't. He wrote it as a extra note, a commentary on the Louis Kervan's article. So I'll have to look to see if he published on this otherwise, because all of his other papers assume a commutative symmetric foundation, invariant foundation of reality that then is observed to be asymmetric. So on the macro scale, and maybe that's how he's interpreting it, that, you know, what we observe in biology is actually asymmetric because we're alive and we have this asymmetric bias, but on the quantum level it's still symmetric. But when so then I looked up BG Siddharth, and sure enough he explains the neutrino does have this mass due to non-commutativity of space-time. So in other words, instead of assuming the invariance, you have to assume this asymmetric time process, and that creates this interaction between the neutrino as a mass, as having mass with the photon, and then you can create new energy from that interaction, and that new energy will enable a change in the atomic structure of matter as a transmutation. And so I think I go into this more in my 2012 book. I'll have to look that up again. But the fact that Olivier Costa de Beauregard made the same insight into this electroweak interaction between the neutrino and the photon, that then also explains the corona heat mystery, but then it explains this anomalous heat in the body in biology that is commonly known as or it's been documented by Wim Hof, where through meditation and certain breathing exercises, he's able to activate this anomalous heat, this creation of energy. And it's not just heat, but it's an actual energy that can be built up, and it's connected to space-time itself. So it's actually non-local. And this was Roger Penrose's point too, is that that the fusion of the sun is based on quantum entanglement, but there's a deeper source to that quantum entanglement, and that deeper source is this non-commutative time process, and that then creates this interaction between the neutrino and the photon. So it effectively is giving mass to the photon due to the non-commutative space-time. So that's what B.G. Siddharth explains, is the photon as a secret mass from non-commutative space-time that also gives the neutrino mass and enables this interaction between the two. So it's a very fascinating new discovery in physics, and it's only Costa de Beauregard who made the same discovery, connected it back to alchemy as biological transmutations, and it's due to non-commutativity. So I'll be looking into this more, and hopefully I will hear back from the Japanese professor. And of course, I'm not a physicist. I just read physics for fun, to reverse engineer my own training, my own biological transmutation training exercises via non-locality, and how it's explained in non-Western philosophy and music theory and so forth. So I'm merely just retroactively analyzing the conceptual scientific explanation of what I've experienced through my own meditation training and mind-body transformations, studying with the non-Western spiritual healers to finish my master's degree. So Costa de Beauregard, this paper by him on biological transmutations is an exception to his other work, because he zeroes in on this electroweak interaction, and we know that the electroweak interaction violates parity, so it violates the invariance, since it's a left-handed interaction. And so now, by tying it to the neutrino and the photon, then that takes it to a whole nother dimension of the Electroweak Hall interaction, the Electroweak Hall effect, and it's not just high energy physics, because the biology is relying on this same metamaterial effect of the asymmetry as a negative refractive index. So that changes it being just high energy physics. Then it's the Japanese physicist. He said this has tremendous implications for physics, and I think that's almost an understatement based on his discovery. That explains the corona heat mystery, but it also explains lots of other mysteries in biophysics. You could say biophysics and maybe geophysics, and basically what the big, what has been missing in science due to non-commutativity, because all of science has been based on commutative geometry thus far, on the symmetry and the standard model is all based on symmetry. So this new discovery challenges the standard model. But again, you have people like physicists. B.G. Siddharth was already ahead of the game by utilizing non-commutativity, focusing on that. So he was able to discover this same interaction between the neutrino and photon. He didn't, explain it the exact same way, but he's corroborating the research of these Japanese physicists. And then, of course, Basil J. Hiley, he has also discovered this in physics, and he calls it a novel force. And it's also gravitationally repulsive, so it explains anti-gravity as well. In other words, there's a deeper dynamic behind this electroweak quantum Hall effect that is due to the inherent time asymmetry or non-commutativity of time, where time violates the invariance symmetric property inherently. And so this proves that this is one example of a proof that the time asymmetry is the foundation of reality. So I look forward to the what further analysis will occur due to this discovery in physics of explaining the corona heat mystery of the sun, and how it's tied to a deeper mystery of asymmetric time. And I give the quotes on my blog, so I will link my blog. And of course, you have to scroll way down to read my actual blog post that gives the research and everything. But that's just a way of assuring that people are actually, really interested in the research. So they have to make that extra effort to scroll way down to find the blog post. And that kind of screens out people who aren't really sincere in the interest in the topic. And so I think this is just one more example. Another example of the weak measurements that Basil J. Hiley says are explained by non-commutativity, and they experimentally verify this novel gravitationally repulsive force. So it's going to be interesting to see what the deeper implications of this discovery are. As the Japanese physicist said, it has a tremendous impact in physics. So we'll see what happens from there. So I'll let you know if I get any response from the Japanese professor, or if I can find any more connection to Olivier Costa de Beauregard's research. I think I posted more on his research on this, so I think I might have found more analysis by him in his papers. I can't remember right now, so I'm not sure. But of course, in the end, in terms of biology, quantum biology, there was a comparison to this to the Josephson effect. So you basically have a room temperature superconductivity going on. But as Josephson, Nobel physicist Brian Josephson replied to me, it depends on how you understand attention in meditation and what that means. How this relates to proto-consciousness and active information that Penrose discusses, proto-consciousness, and this again has to do with the mathematics of the asymmetric time that Alan Kahn discusses in terms of frequency. So you have asymmetric time and frequency, and that leads to this Electroweak quantum Hall effect. So it's going to be interesting. I don't think this is going to make some huge breakthrough that will transform, all of society or something. I just think it's another, what's the phrase, chink in the armor of standard symmetric physics using commutative geometry. So this is a chink in the armor of the standard model or whatever. And I'll just leave it at that. And thank you